What's going on, everybody? This is Lady Luck here again. Okay, so we have a true crime that I want to go over. This is a really sad case and a disturbing one at that. So you have a father who was charged with murder of his 9-year old daughter and lied about her being kidnapped. And I can't imagine like what the mother is going through and why he would need to do this. And I mean he took her life while they were on vacation. That's the last thought in anyone's mind that's sane where a child going on vacation with their parent and then they don't return and then the father lies about her being kidnapped. It's so disturbing. So we're gonna go over this true crime case. I want you guys to make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the Lady Luck Club. We're growing here. Thank you all for supporting me here in the LLC. And thank you all for being patient with me as well. It is difficult to get out this content that I want to get out during the week, as I still have a regular, 9 to 5. But I thank you guys for being patient with me. So I don't, it's hard to do these cases involving, in children, particularly. But the point of these true crime cases is to help people understand the victim who lost their life and to keep their memory alive and to ensure that justice is served. Um, and this little girl definitely deserves the justice. Her father did this to her. So just comment below and let me know your thoughts on this. This is very disturbing to me. To lie about the kidnapping just goes to show that he knew what he did was wrong. And so we're gonna check out this article, and then I want to go to Law and Crime Network video and check out, just some of the information that they have there. This is from the Daily News. She's adorable. 9 years old. The father of a 9-year-old girl who was found dead in upstate New York was arrested and charged with murder Monday after his kidnapping report didn't pan out. Luciano Fratolin, 45, was charged with second-degree murder and concealment of a human corpse for allegedly killing his daughter Melina Fratolin and dumping her in the shallow portion of a pond in a remote area. New York State Police Bureau of Criminal Investigation Lieutenant Robert McConnell announced at a news conference Monday morning been booked into the Essex County Jail at 2:04 a.m. on Monday. McConnell said Fratolin, and I hope I'm saying his name right, was scheduled to be arraigned Monday. Melina's cause of death would be determined once an autopsy had been performed. Also on Monday, he said both father and daughter were from Montreal and had arrived in the U.S. only on July 11th for a planned vacation. So they're from Montreal, Canada. They arrived in the U.S. on July 11th for a planned vacation. Um, McConnell said in detail in the last hours of the girl's life. They were due back in Canada Sunday, at which time she'd be returned to the custody of her mother in Montreal. This is why you don't, you have parents that go to court and they're pleading with these dumb, corrupt judges on behalf of their children, and why it's not always a good thing. Parents should be able to spend time with the kids, but when there's history of violence or a history of just mental instability, or you just know the other parent to just be very, volatile and unbalanced and unstable, and there are certain things as mothers we can discern. We can tell when something's going on with our children. The court needs to listen. I'm wondering if there was anything that had happened previously, for him to just snap and just do this while they're on vacation. It's not always, they hurt the children, but they do it to really hurt the mother or the other parent. Because sometimes this happens from the moms, when the moms, go out and take their children's lives because they're trying to get back at the father. It is so disgusting, it's so evil, and so vile. Oh man, you hate to see it either way. They were due back in Canada on Sunday, where she would be returned to the custody of her mother. The parents had been estranged since 2019, and Melina lived with her mother full time. She knew they were coming to the U.S. and had no issues, as Fertolin had no criminal or domestic violence history, the lieutenant said. It's always the quiet ones. Melina and her father were seen on surveillance video in upstate Saratoga Springs at about 5:30 p.m. on Saturday, and she told her mother by phone that they were on their way back to Canada. The child appeared to be in good health and did not indicate she was under duress. Um, then, for unknown reasons, the visit turned dark. The father, who describes Melina, light of his life, in the bio of his business website, reported at 9:58 p.m. on Saturday that she had been abducted near exit 22 of Interstate 87 in Lake George. He told the Warren County Sheriff's Office she had been last seen about 9:40 p.m. in a white van headed south. The region is a popular vacation spot in the Adirondack Mountains. Adirondack Mountains. I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. The sheriff's office issued an Amber Alert, deeming Melina in imminent danger. But investigators soon noticed inconsistencies in the father's accounts of events and the timeline he provided. The investigation has determined sometime after the conversation with her mother and before Vertolin's 911 call, he allegedly murdered Melina and left her body in a remote area where she was later discovered by law enforcement. Vertolin told police that he had pulled into a parking lot near exit 22 of I-87 to relieve himself. When he came back, his daughter was no longer in the car. First, he said he saw a white van speeding south. Then later, he saw two males force Melina into a white van. Such inconsistencies sparked suspicion, and authorities delved further. The Amber Alert was canceled, and the case turned over to state police. So the Amber Alert, as soon as it went out, they got his story. They canceled it. Thank goodness it didn't take days. Nor did they tell him, well, you got to wait 24 hours to report her missing, because that's not always the case. That's not the law. It's just nonsense that police officers tell people for reasons, because they don't want to do any investigative work. But luckily, they jumped in quickly in this matter. Preferably, they'll learn to do that in every scenario. The purportedly dotting dad's sketchy story and technology available to law enforcement, because we have cameras everywhere, led investigators to Ticonderoga, about 30 miles northeast of Lake George, where forest rangers found Melina's body. McConnell said numerous agencies had joined the search using drones, aviation units, and K9 units, with help from the FBI and the Montreal Police Department. At this time, there is no indication that an abduction occurred, and there is no threat to the public. Police said when Melina's body was found, heartbreaking news out of Lake George. Governor Hochul said on X, "We're mourning the loss of 9-year-old Melina Fertolin. New York State Police are leading the investigation and working tirelessly to hold those responsible fully accountable." That would be her evil, god-awful father. So let's hop over to Law and Crime on the Case video here. And I just want to kind of go through some of the information here. Not the entire video is 19 minutes long, but we, just get through the majority of it. He was a wealthy business owner, and he took his own daughter's life on vacation, more than likely to get back at the mother. Why even deal with the child? All right, let's get to it.
New video related to a shocking crime. This dad is accused of killing his daughter. Here he is in shackles, reportedly headed to his first court appearance in New York. Video per WNYT TV. He seemed like a loving father. He called his daughter the light of his life. But now he's in jail. He is charged with her murder. This is a story that is so hard to believe. Police say this dad lied about his daughter being abducted. It triggered an Amber Alert in New York over the weekend.
Initial reports from Mr. Fertolin of a suspicious white van in the area of the alleged disappearance was proven to be untrue.
We have the latest on a story that took a heartbreaking turn in what may have led this father to allegedly kill his 9-year-old daughter on vacation. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart. It is hard to make sense of the story that we're talking about today. A father who took his daughter to New York for a 10-day vacation, and then police say on the last day of their vacation, he killed her. We learned a lot of shocking information today in this story. And before I get to the update, let me introduce you to the girl who is at the center of this story, the young girl who lost her life, 9-year-old Melina Fratolin. She lived in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, and she came to the U.S. with her dad on July 11th, according to police. Here's his picture. His name is Luciano Fratolin. Police say the two of them came into the U.S. for a dad and daughter trip. They went to New York City, they visited Connecticut, they went to some spots in upstate New York, according to police. Luciano is reportedly the founder of an organic coffee company. Here's his bio on the company's website, and in that biography, it reads that his daughter Melina is the light of his life, and quote, she is the inspiration for, well, everything. Luciano grew up in Ethiopia. The bio goes on to say, quote, his pursuits for building a more equitable and just world are deeply guided by his determination that she, his daughter, will not have to endure the same social injustices that he encountered throughout his childhood. His Instagram shows him taking Melina sledding in the snow. His social media makes the story so much more difficult to bear because of how much time it seemed that he spent with his daughter. And at least there was the appearance that he loved his daughter. This is a montage of all the places they went together. This just hits you in the heart if you're a parent or not when you watch all of this. Here is Melina on Valentine's Day with a horse in a picture posted by her dad. And here he is giving her a big hug and a kiss on the head in what appears to be her birthday. After seeing all of that, it's really difficult to talk about the next part, but this is what police are telling us happened. New York State Police say on Saturday, Luciano Fratolin called 911 around 10 p.m. from alongside a highway heading north near Lake George, New York. Here is what police say he said per WRGB TV.
So the suspect's initial account is that he had pulled over in the area of exit 22 in Lake George, pulled over to a parking lot to urinate. His initial report is he steps away to a wooded area, returns to the vehicle, and at that point, his child is gone from the vehicle. He reports a suspicious white van fleeing the scene southbound.
Never mind all the cameras.
During a subsequent interview, he then reports two unknown males forced her into a white van. That lead was thoroughly investigated and disproven.
Police say Luciano and Melina were heading back to Canada after they spent 10 days in the U.S. on vacation, and they crossed into the U.S. legally on July 11th. Police put out an Amber Alert on Saturday night, but police say over time, they found inconsistencies in what Luciano was reportedly telling them. They say around 6:30 p.m. on Saturday night, Melina called her mom to tell her that she and her dad were heading home after their trip. Police say it didn't seem that she was in duress or in danger, at least on the phone. The next day before noon, police say they searched a wooded area near Ticonderoga, New York that they believe Luciano had visited, and that is where they made a terrible discovery.
On Sunday, July 20th, a search detail comprised of officers from multiple agencies conducted an organized search in the town of Ticonderoga, New York. In an area, Mr. Fratolin was suspected of having visited. During that search detail, at approximately 10:50, members of the New York State Police Forest Rangers located Melina deceased in the shallow portion of a pond.
Police say on Sunday, Luciano was to return Melina to her mom. That's his estranged wife, who has full custody of the 9-year-old girl. Police believe that Luciano killed his daughter after she called her mom on the phone to tell her that they were heading home before he made that 911 call a few hours later and, according to police, lied about what actually happened. Again, there was no abduction. Police say they don't have an official motive for the alleged crime.
Other than him trying to get back at the mother because they're no longer married. I mean, it's just disgusting. I'm just, there's no explaining this. And he pled not guilty to this. So, I refuse to believe that he just snapped. If they were due to return, they'd due to return. I mean, and she's oh my gosh, she's just such a cutie pie. It's a little angel. This is so heartbreaking to hear.
Melina's cause of death has yet to be determined, but an autopsy is pending, and it was scheduled to be done today. This is new video just in of Luciano leaving jail in Ticonderoga, New York, headed to his first court appearance.
Mr. Fratolin, do you have anything to say?
Never let him out.
Do you have anything to say about these charges?
Before we get back to this episode of On the Case, I want to stop and talk about our partners at Morgan & Morgan. There is a reason they...
Yeah, we're going to fast forward through that.
And also questions from reporters and just looked forward as police put him in a cruiser to take him to court. That video per WNYT TV. According to the Albany Times-Union, which is the newspaper in upstate New York, Luciano Fratolin pleaded not guilty in that first court appearance in Ticonderoga court. He's facing a charge, according to police, of second-degree murder as well as a count of hiding a corpse. And it's sick to think that those charges are related to the allegations that he allegedly killed his own daughter, the girl who he publicly spoke of so lovingly. Now, he is a Canadian citizen, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a moment with our expert. But New York State Police said at their news conference this morning that even though he's Canadian, even though the alleged victim, his daughter, in this case is Canadian, because he is accused of committing a crime in the United States, this is the country where he will be prosecuted. Now, although his custody...
It goes down to where the crime is committed. So no, we want them. They need to do their thing in New York. That's where he committed the crime and had resources, divulged into trying to find her based on his lie that she was kidnapped. Nope. He will be tried in New York courts and sent to New York prison and spend the rest of his life there. He should never get out. This is awful.
Situation may be a hint at a motive. Again, there are so many questions, and one of them at this point is exactly what the motive was to allegedly do this. And another big question is, how could someone be so violent with seemingly no history of being violent, at least that we know of? New York State Police said this morning that Fertolin has no criminal history, including no allegations of domestic violence. Joining us now is retired FBI agent Colin Schmidt. It's always great to have you on Law and Crime. This story is so incredibly sad, to say the least.
And I'm just gonna stop it there, and you guys can watch the remaining portion of this story on Law and Crime Network. There is no words to explain this or even to express how frustrating it is to hear these types of cases where it stems around some custody battle or divorce, or one adult not being able to get their shit together with the other adult and co-parent. And she sounds like it just sounds like she was just ready to go back home. She lived with her mother. Her mother had primary custody. He obviously got parenting time. He was able to take her out on a vacation, for 10 days? I mean, what? It hurts. It just, oh my God, it tears the mother apart. And I believe and it's just my opinion here, because I see too many cases like this, where it comes down to one parent wanting to hurt the other parent and make the other parent suffer. Not necessarily because of any other reason. He didn't have the right to take her life. He was a father. He was supposed to be the one to protect her and shield her, to see her off on her first prom date, threaten the boy a little bit, better have my daughter home by 11 p.m. sort of thing. Like, not sit here and take his own daughter's life and then lie about her being kidnapped. You have Amber Alerts going out, fraudulently because of this. But it takes away time and resources from them actually, looking at what could be going on with other missing children in the state of New York. This is awful. So, no, he needs to get, if not the death penalty, life with no possibility of parole, period. This happens too much. This little girl did not deserve this. She could have been with her mother, and he could have left her alone. So, hopefully the justice is served to where he spends the rest of his life in prison. But of course, this is about keeping, her life and pursuing that justice and just keeping the memory of her life alive. That's it. It is hard to hear. It's hard to bear, but she did not deserve this. This 9-year-old girl did not deserve this at all. All right. So that's all I have. You guys will be monitoring this case. There are several cases that we have featured in the true crime playlist here in the LLC that we're going to go back and monitor and do updates on. There have not been any updates with the twins that were found deceased in the mountains of Georgia here that I had reported on. I think I did at least 2 or 3 videos on. And, I'm constantly looking for the updates on that because that one hits home in my state. And I'm a mother of 2 boys. So it's just heartbreaking to find both of your children that are twins deceased in the mountains, anywhere where they've never gone to a vacation den. It's unfortunate. So make sure you guys share this content, share the video, and let's keep an eye out on this case. And like I said, hopefully he gets life in prison, if not the death penalty, because this is a scenario where I think it will be warranted. This was just unnecessary. And he could have left her with her mother. All right. So you guys, make sure you comment below. Let me know what you think. This is heartbreaking. And stay tuned for more content to come. And, we're going to continue on with the true crime. But until the next one, thank you all for tuning in. Hit the like button and share. Lady Luck Club out. Deuces.